women are starting to take part in a sport that they were once banned from. It wasn't until the 2012 Olympics that women were able to competitively take part in boxing for the first time. However, the sport is taking off for women, whether they're doing it professionally, for fun, or just for fitness. However, the question I pose today is, are women punching down barriers?
Boxing really helps with mental health because it allows me to just switch off. And if I'm not paying attention to what Martin, the coach, has asked me to do, then I'm likely to get punched in the face. And it's an opportunity to escape from everyday life and the normal things that might be stressing you out or things that you just need to process. I think you have to listen to what you're being told to do, and you're learning a skill at the same time as exercising. So you're not thinking about what you're doing, you're not getting the most out of the whole session and the training experience.
So I guess boxing for me, from a mental health perspective, I'm in banking 5 days a week, which is pretty stressful. Long hours working on the floor. So for me, coming to box similar to Charlotte, it kind of helps me relieve that stress, have something to kind of get my aggression out, I guess. When you're in the club, you're boxing, you're sparring, you can't think about anything else. So I think in conjunction with my, working life and then boxing on the side of that, it just helps my mental health.
Before I started boxing, I think I never really contemplated it as an option for fitness for me, because I did see it as a male-dominated sport. The reason I got into it was because my brother-in-law was training with Martin initially, and probably, I don't know for how long, he kept saying, come along, come along, come along. And finally I did, and was so pleased I did, because I realised I was one of many women that were attending that gym at the time. And my perception of it changed. And over the years I've met so many women that Martin has trained, and they've fought in amateur fights, and so yeah, my perception of it now is completely different, and I do feel like it's a sport just as much for women as it is for men.
Okay, so for me, women in boxing, so I would have started training originally in boxing back in Dublin. At the time, that's quite a long time back. It would have been more, I guess, of a male-dominated sport. I think I was the only female in the club. And then since boxing got introduced in the Olympics, I think then it just kind of started to change that whole concept of boxing being more of a male-dominated sport. So more girls were coming into the club, be it from a health and fitness perspective, maybe they wanted to get into fighting and start sparring. And then coming to London, obviously training with Martin, there's a lot more females training in boxing. I think it's also down to the coach, to promote it, to encourage women, to kind of be that role model and have no differentiation in the club between males and females. And I think Martin does that quite well. So I think it's totally changed from what I've seen back in the day in Dublin and the training now today.
I then spoke to Lottie and Tara's coach, Martin, who told me what it's like for women in the industry and what it's like to coach them.
So, shall I speak the truth? Right? Okay. The truth is, I come from a country where we didn't have women's boxing for a long, long time, right? And I'm not used to seeing women box, to be fair. I wasn't before. So initially I was a little bit reserved about training girls and training women, but to be honest with you, I think women are doing better discipline-wise than men, and ironically I ended up training more women to actually box, to compete, than training guys, right? And it's been basically, there are not as many bumps on the road. When you train girls, they just do as they told. I don't have to repeat myself, is what I mean. With guys, there's always ego, and you always have to, they always get unhealthy competitive, when girls just do the job done. And I think boxing is gotten to another level since women got involved. Nowadays, I think women are just as good as guys, as men. Yeah. I'm quite picky with the people I train. So the people that train with me are basically people who are like come here and they're really ready to push the limits, right? And that's what we're doing here. We're pushing limits. I think it's getting better and better. And to be fair, professional boxing and amateur, because there are many girls that box amateur boxing, right? But because professional boxing is a different sport, you can say, I think the transition is a bit more difficult for women to do. It takes a bit longer, and they adapt a little bit harder to professional boxing than men, because it's just purely physical, right? That's what it is.